What's up, guys and girls? Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm sure a lot of you noticed that Pokemon has recently made a huge change that I don't think a whole lot of people are talking about, and it severely affects both collectors, investors, and everyone in the Pokemon marketplace right now for TCG products. So I'm going to break it down today and just kind of talk about it and go into depth why I feel like this is a crazy change for the TCG, both good and positive, or good and negative. So if you're ready for that, sit back, relax. Let's hop right in. And if you are enjoying the video, if you could like and subscribe, it helps me out a ton. Join the Discord, links in the description. If you could hit that subscribe button, help me out a ton. I think 90% of y'all are not subscribed, so if you could go ahead and do that for me today, that would be greatly appreciated. But other than that, I'm gonna hop right in. We'll start talking about it. So I don't know if a whole lot of people have noticed this change that they recently made for Mega Evolution. I'm guessing it's gonna be the entire block. But Mega Evolution 01 now has some of the craziest hit rates for an SIR out of every single Pokemon product since Scarlet and Violet started. This is the most crazy change, and that's that SIRs are now 1 in 100 chance to pull a single one. And a specific one gets even harder, especially if there's a lot of SIRs. Can you imagine if we had these type of odds for Prismatic? Like, Prismatic is already known for like the extremeness it takes to be able to pull an SIR. Imagine if they were 1 in 100. Goodness, I can't even imagine that. So Pokemon made this change. It's actually kind of concerning, but it's also at the same time not a terrible change, because I think they made this change knowing that they are going to be printing a ton of Mega Evolution product. I think they just know that down the line they're going to be printing a ton of Mega Evolution 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. At least up to 3 times as much as they printed in the Scarlet Violet era. And that's pretty simple reason why, and that's because Mega Evolution is now 3 times harder to hit an SAR as it is to hit and Scarlet Violet. Prismatic and all of them are like 1 in 36. I think Black and White was the only one. It was like 1 in 72. It's like double the rate, but they cut in the IR in half, so it made sense for all that sort of stuff in there. But Mega Evolution obviously is changing that. And man, like I said, it's going to be pretty drastic change, and they did that for the reason, like I said before, to increase product. They're going to want to print more, but they don't want to devalue the actual cards inside. I think that's what they're really worried about. If they just start printing a lot more is going to get open, and a lot more cards are going to come to market, and it's going to flood the market. And Pokemon is really worried about damaging their brand. They've had past, times now where they've printed to demand, and then demand has dropped, and they printed to demand that now no longer exists. And now they have a bunch of product that they're sitting around hoping to sell, and obviously it's not selling because the demand isn't there. Now, if they print 3 times as much product, the sealed product can go down in price, which, for the most part, they want it back down to MSRP, which is the sweet spot for them, because they would sell on Pokemon Center and scalpers aren't buying it all out entirely. So just the Pokemon people who want to open it and enjoy it or even invest into it are getting it at the best possible price, which is Pokemon Center. They get the most money, yada, yada, yada. But because, that's the sweet spot, they want to hit that price. And the only way to do that is if they print more, right? If they print more product, the price will drop. Right now it's at $300 a booster box. If they can get it down half that to $160, they're perfectly cool with that. But because of that, they don't want to devalue the cards inside. If the cards also take a hit, nobody wants to open it, right? That's what they had in the Scarlet Violet base, and early on, nobody was wanting to open up those products because there wasn't really a chase in there. There wasn't really a card worth hundreds of dollars to make people want to open it. So because of this, they're going to print more, want to see more opened, but they want about the same level of SIRs that currently exist. They don't want to print more SIRs, because that's going to flood the market. It's going to make the chases less valuable, and that's going to perpetuate the cycle of, people are opening it, there's a ton on the market, the price drop, and then like less and less, and it eventually it causes a downward snowball, which currently they don't want. So because the product is now readily available, the SIRs are now more harder to pull, they're going to equal out to be about the same amount as the regular, Scarlet and Violet ones. We'll still have expensive chases, basically, because it's so hard to hit. And Pokemon is doing this on purpose, I think, specifically for the reasons I mentioned, that they want to print more. They want to make more money. They don't make money on the cards inside, so them being valuable doesn't matter to them. They make money on actually selling the sealed product. And if they can print more to that without decreasing demand or like hurting demand because the chases are still expensive, that's what they're going to do. So I would highly, highly think that Pokemon is going to print about 3 times as much Mega Evolution throughout the entire block. I'm not saying right now because they're still trying to catch up and do all sorts of stuff like that, but I expect about 3 times as much product is going to eventually hit the market over the course of the entire run of Mega Evolution compared to Scarlet Violet. It just makes sense, right? Like, the chases are 3 times as hard to hit. They're going to print 3 times as much product to make about the same amount of chases that appear on market. So that's what I think on that. Now, what this means for collectors is that chase cards are still going to be pretty expensive. Like, obviously, pulling a 1 in 100 chance is pretty difficult. You've probably noticed how hard it is to pull an SIR now with like regular odds of like 1 in 36. And it's pretty dang difficult. So imagine now, it's 3 times as hard to hit that chase card you were wanting, especially, heaven forbid, it's a specific one. Like I said, if Prismatic had these sorts of odds, the old Umbreon would probably be a $3,000 card. Genuinely, like, it would be so difficult to hit, and getting a specific one would be so costly to be able to just open it, that it would be a $3,000 card, raw. Like, it would be absolutely insane. So for collectors, this is probably not going to change collectability or whatever, unless it's just Pokemon releases bad sets. Then it's going to actually hurt a lot. If Pokemon keep the hype up and everything like that, it won't change much. Your chase cards are still going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive to get product. But I think in the longer term, especially over the next couple of years, Mega Evolutions is going to drop back down. I think Scarlet Violet is kind of passing by. They're having trouble already restocking it. I mean, currently Twilight and Surging have been pretty much the only products I've been seeing. I haven't seen anything else. So if you're trying to get old stuff, it's going to be difficult. But Mega Evolutions, if they print more of it for collectors, you're going to be able to open more and get more for MSRP, which is what Pokemon wants because they make the most money. They don't make any money on these secondary sales where people are selling out their products for $300. They don't make any money on that. There's no reason for Pokemon to want that on release. They're literally zero, besides like it sells them out. But they want to just sell out anyway and not have the backlash from fans of people scalping. It just makes their brand look bad. So I genuinely think this is what's going to affect collectors. It's going to be easier to get sealed product, but chases are still going to be expensive. And now the other side of it, for investors. What does this mean for investors? Well, simply put, there's going to be more sealed product in the market, which means a lot more people are going to be able to pick it up at MSRP and invest into it. Now, obviously, more product doesn't necessarily mean that it won't go up in price. I still think sealed will go up in price, but the cat has been kind of out of the bag that everyone's keeping stuff sealed, although I still see a lot of people open stuff, but there's a lot of more people that keep stuff sealed. And if there's 3 times the amount of product in existence than there was previously, and more people are keeping it sealed, there's just more product that has to be eaten away eventually to make a profit. So I don't think it'll affect investors too much, especially if you have the mindset of 8 to 10 years versus 1 year, 2 years. I think then you're kind of a little bit gambling a little bit more than you probably should. But, you know, overall, I don't think this affects investors in like a super negative way. Obviously, it'll just take a little bit longer. But if, you know, hype keeps eating into demand and people want more and more product, it'll eventually eat through, right? Like 3 times as much product would be great for currently. Imagine 3 times as many booster boxes, like it's $160. You can just go buy it on Pokemon Center. It'd be fantastic. Anyone who wants to invest in Mega Evolutions, just go buy it. Like, go pay MSRP for it. That's the lowest price. That's the lowest listed. Everyone would be super excited about that. So investing wise, I think you'll be pretty good. Now, obviously, I do want to mention also, like I mentioned, SARs. They did change also for IR. So illustration rares from Mega Evolutions are actually easier to pull. I don't think we'll be seeing as many like high tier illustration rare chases like we saw in Scarlet Violet. Like early Scarlet Violet is like all illustration. The Groudon, the Magikarp, I think Seismitoad is now pretty hyped in black and white. So like there's a decent amount of illustration rare chases in sets in Scarlet Violet, and I don't think we'll be seeing that as often in Mega Evolutions because it's now a 1 in 9 chance compared to like a 1 in 12 or 1 in 16, I think, somewhere around there. So that's what I think currently is going on with Mega Evolutions. Let me know what you guys think. If you could like and subscribe, like I mentioned earlier, help me out a ton. That's going to be it for me today. Appreciate y'all. Take care.